On April 30th, when pro-Palestine protesters at New York's Columbia University occupied Hamilton Hall, an academic building at the campus, and renamed it Hind's Hall in honor of a 6-year-old Hind Rajab who was killed by Israeli forces in Gaza. It brought back memories of the Vietnam War. Hamilton Hall has a long history of student protests. It has been witness to aftermaths of pivotal moments in history: the Vietnam War of 1968, the global movement against apartheid in South Africa in 1983. During the apartheid movement, Hamilton Hall was renamed Mandela Hall. The April 2024 takeover of the Hamilton Hall has striking similarity with the 1968 Vietnam War movement. Mark Nason, Fordham University professor who participated in the 1968 demonstrations at Columbia, recalled, "But exactly what happened at Columbia 5 decades back? It was April of 1968. The end of academic year was approaching. Much like now, students of Columbia University seized 5 campus buildings and shut down the university. Much like now, there was backlash to the protest. Demonstrators took the dean hostage in his office to mark their protest over US's involvement in the Vietnam War and school's decision to build a segregated gym in Morningside Park. At 2 a.m., police entered the building through underground tunnels and started clearing students from the Hamilton Hall. By 4 a.m., all buildings were cleared. Over 700 students were arrested. It was one of the largest mass detentions in New York City's history. Protesters were reportedly hit with nightsticks, punched, and kicked. More than 100 were left injured. But back then, brutal arrests across the US in light of civil rights and anti-war movements were common. Despite crackdown, the protesters had achieved their goals fair and square. Columbia cut ties with the Pentagon Institute doing research for the Vietnam War. No gym was constructed on public land in Morningside Park. They gained amnesty for demonstrators. The violence on campus set off reforms favoring student activism and early resignations of Columbia's then President Grayson L. Kirk and Provost David B. Truman. Eleanor Stein, law and human rights professor and 1968 student protester at Columbia, recalled, 5 decades later, were no lessons learned? Orrin Root, New York City lawyer and editor of Columbia student newspaper The Spectator in 1968 and 1969, believes, the violence on campus in 1968 left a lasting legacy of student activism that university now publicly touts. The only difference between 1968 and now, Nason believes, is the feeling among students that the personal animosity is being directed against them.